You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive Scottish football content.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media Scottish Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. It's a pleasure to be back doing the Scottish Football Show. We took a wee bit of a break just to get some new ideas into the show, but we are ready to go, and what an occasion to come back. We are going to preview the ViaPlay Cup final between Rangers and Celtic, one of the biggest games of the season, no doubt, between two of the biggest clubs in Scotland, and we have an Old Firm final. There's nothing like it. To join me to preview the League Cup final, we have got a man who could have played in a League Cup final if only he had been listened to and not sent out on loan. I think he would have a League Cup winners medal on this show. It is an absolute pleasure to be joined by Stevie Murray, ex-Kilmarnock. Stevie, it's a pleasure. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Scott? It's all Jim Jeffries' fault. Every bit Jim Jeffries' fault.
I look at old videos. I like when John Collins is lifting that cup. I was thinking, Jim Jeffries, if he'd started Stevie Murray, Jim Jeffries could have lifted that trophy.
100%.
Wouldn't have been 5-1 anyway.
No, I've been 5-2.
It's a pleasure to have Stevie on as always, and it's a pleasure to welcome to the show from Oswald's Bar. By the looks of it, it's a pleasure to welcome Kenny Boag. Kenny, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting about this. Oh, it's a big one.
Very exciting. There's nothing like a cup final, Stevie. Obviously, a Rangers Celtic one in particular, the two biggest clubs going at it. Again, this is actually the 17th time Rangers and Celtic have met in a League Cup final. With the League Cup final, there's always big games, as we've seen many different memories. You've been a part of them, things like that. What's your favourite League Cup final? If I was to say to you, if you could go back and watch one League Cup final from history, what would it be?
Honestly, I'm a Celtic man, right? But see the one where, remember it used to be called the Coca-Cola Cup?
Yeah.
Right?
Raith Rovers.
Celtic. I remember I've got so memories sitting watching that. Don't get me wrong, I was spewing at the time, right? But what a game that was. Top game. And that's the one that sticks out to me. A lot of the other ones, you maybe get one side of the Old Firm playing against a Dunfermline or a Kilmarnock or a Hearts or a Hibs or something like that, and they don't really become memorable. But the one that was, the fact that was memorable for two facts: Celtic get beat, and also obviously it was an underdog story with Raith Rovers. I just thought it was. But remember, Raith Rovers played Bayern Munich in Europe before the season. Just thought it was
unbelievable.
just a
Did they not draw with them?
Cup competition. So it was.
Did they not draw with them at home?
They did. They drew with them at Starks Park.
They drew with them at Starks Park, didn't they? And then they obviously get beat away from home. But
they tried to park the team bus on the pitch in front of the goal.
Kenny, if I was to say to you, what's your favourite League Cup final of all time, what would it be?
I've got to go back. I think it was 96, 97, and it was my first ever. Well, I went to a cup final when I was a wee boy, but I can't remember it. But it was my first ever cup final I can remember, and it was at Parkhead, and it was Rangers against Hearts. It was you'd maybe remember Ali McCoy scored the two in the first half.
Yeah.
Hearts got it back to 2-2. McCoist and Gaza were sort of fighting at half time. There's that story about Gaza. You didn't find that out afterwards, but Gaza obviously drinking the brandy or something at half time, and then obviously Gaza came on and scored 2 goals in the second half. But I think just for me personally, just with it being my first ever sort of cup final as a young boy, 14, 15, you could remember it. And for me, that's going to be by far my favourite League Cup final so far. Anyway, Sunday might trump it. You never know.
Sunday's going to be interesting as well. I would go back. There's a couple. The one that sticks out to me is remember Kenny Miller scoring against St Mirren when Rangers were down to 9 men.
Aye.
That's one of the best managerial performances I've ever seen, because when Danny Wilson gets sent off, you just saw Walter Smith coming down to the touchline, and it was a man possessed just to get anything to get that title. And obviously Kenny Miller scoring the header, still remember it. Great memory if you're a Rangers fan. Steve, remember Livingston winning it as well? It's you're saying about Wraith, like Lisa Livingston winning it. Obviously, Hibs. There's a lot of teams. It's brought a lot of good occasion. Ross County, St Mirren, they've all won this trophy.
Aye. And remember that Livingston one, all 42 of their supporters must have got on that. It must have been on that Livingston right up to MacArthur Glen, nobody there.
That Kenny Miller one, I was in the, believe it or not, I was in the Ayrshire Hospice common room and swearing at the telly when the nurse came in and told me to mind my language because I was in a hospice because I completely forgot where I was when Danny Wilson was getting sent off.
Right, but again, obviously, Celtic versus Rangers. Stevie, what does this game mean? It's any final's a big final, but when it's these two clubs, what does it do?
Well, the atmosphere will be electric. I think even non-Old Firm fans will be desperate to watch it because it is that kind of blockbuster match for a trophy at the end of it. And I think the good thing about it is both teams are in fantastic form getting into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with Michael Beale not lost a game yet there, he's went in, he's doing extremely well, and you've got Celtic just ticking along nicely. They sometimes look in games like they can go up 2 or 3 gears still. So it'll be a wee. Somebody will be able to put a wee marker down to see the progress, either how Beale's progressed Rangers or how Celtic are still dominant. It'll be interesting to see what way it falls.
Kenny, we'll obviously go through kind of each team and what the kind of big parts are for each team and things like that. But there's been a lot of build to this game. There's been a lot in the press. We've seen obviously the likes of like Beale obviously been talking a lot in the media. Postecoglou have done a press conference together, which I was baffled at. But again, something we can touch on later on. But it's certainly get the makings of a big game. Well, obviously any game between Rangers and Celtic is big, but this one in particular, you just feel as if it's a big test for both clubs. Obviously, one club's wanting to establish their dominance. Rangers are obviously had a difficult start to the season. They're beginning to find their feet under Beale. It's just got the makings of a massive, massive encounter.
I like Stevie said, it's blockbuster, and everybody's going to want to see it. Again, I'm pretty much echoing what Stevie said. It's the form. Both teams are in such fantastic form. It's a really, really hard one to call as well. And I think as well, with all the sort of media hype, you've got the arguments with Chris Sutton, you've got, like you said about the press conference, that was hilarious, the two of them sitting there. You've got all the jokes about that. There's all the VAR conspiracies, obviously, as well, from both sides, where, who's going to win it? Is the referee going to win it? That sort of thing. It's a massive occasion. I think everybody's buzzing for it. I mean, everyone I've spoken to, even people I know that are Aberdeen fans, Hibs fans, Hearts fans, they're just all looking forward to Sunday. Everybody's trying to get the day off and watch the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not easy, trust me, to get the day off for it. It's that very difficult. Stevie, will you be watching it on ViaPlay Sports? I'll be
watching it on ViaPlay Sports. I pay my subscription. I'm not like these Fire Stick guys. I actually pay for it. I'm the one mug that actually pays for it.
I had a friend ask me this morning, and I'm not going to name him, shame him, but he asked me if he could borrow my ViaPlay subscription.
Right. Okay.
What are we like? That's the 2023 and a League Cup final, and we're asking to use ViaPlay Sports subscriptions. It's crazy what's going on. Stevie, with Celtic, obviously they're going in 9 points clear at the top of the table. They have been so consistent this season. They've only dropped 4 points in the league.
Yeah,
they're going in pretty much flawless domestically. What does this game mean for Celtic and Ange Postecoglou in particular? Because he's won 2 trophies. Obviously, Rangers put them out the Scottish Cup last season, but he's got that big start under his belt. This is going to be a massive, massive game for Postecoglou and this new Celtic team.
Yeah, definitely. As I said before, I think it's a good barometer to see where both teams actually are. The 2 semi-finals at Hampden, the pitch was horrendous. I mean, doesn't really play into Celtic. Hopefully the pitch is a bit better this time round, but it doesn't really play into the way that Celtic like to build for the back, and it's a wee bit more risky in a pitch like that. But it'll be. I think it's important for Ange to win this, just as important as it is for Mick Beale, because obviously there's some Rangers fans. I've got friends that are Rangers fans, believe it or not. I've got friends is the interesting part of that sentence. But and some of them are saying that we need to win a trophy. It's been too long. Like, I know we won the Scottish and this, but we need another trophy. We need another trophy. And but also on the Celtic end, we don't want to be seeing Rangers lifting trophies ahead of us, especially in a game where we can affect it. Do you know what I mean? And going by how the team have been playing and how they're looking, they look sharp, as you said. They're consistent, and in my opinion, they've got a couple of gears to go up, and the bench is so strong as well. I mean, but I would say Celtic's got a slightly stronger squad than Rangers. I know Rangers have maybe got a couple of injury doubts potentially, but it's the squad depth that in that final, when you're struggling, maybe it's a 0-0 game and both teams are cancelling each other out, you can bring somebody on that offers something different. For instance, if he starts with Maeda and Haksabanovic on the wings, he can offer something different, you know what I mean, coming on. And it's just that the difference makers that you can bring on off the bench are the guys that are going to win you the cup, because it's a one-off game, so you need to have loads of different options to be able to go and win the game.
Kenny, since Michael Beale's come in, obviously 13 wins, 1 draw. The only blemish is the draw against Celtic, but it hasn't been pretty. There's been a lot of games where Rangers have got by, just not playing well, just getting results, but they're winning. And you couldn't say that this time 3 months ago. They were struggling to get by, they were playing poor and not getting the results. They're now in a position where they've got a lot of confidence. They seem to have more of a settled team. I think the big thing I've noticed is the back four's a lot more solid than it was. Remember, a couple of months ago, Rangers, there was a new defensive partnership every week. They've got that stability now, and we'll get into kind of the team, what we think the teams are going to be later on, but the one thing Beale has done is he's brought a winning mentality in.
I think that's going to be important on Sunday, especially when you're going to be up against the Cosh. I mean, let's be honest, Celtic will be favourites for this match. I know they're both in the same run of form, but Celtic will be resounding favourites, I would say. But no, I think Beale has brought a bit of mentality, and you'd like to think like Raskin in the midfield will make a difference. I think he's going to be, again, he's only played so far against Partick this one, so this will be the big test for him as well. But I think Beale's brought back that sort of win, like you say, that winning mentality, and I think that Sunday's the perfect time for the sort of players to show it. But don't forget, you've got a lot of players on that side as well that have experienced games like this. You know, when they've been up against it in the past, they've been written off. The semi-final last year, especially after the European exploits, nobody expected Rangers to come through that with a result, and obviously they did. So I think, the players are there, the squad's there, and hopefully Beale has installed that mentality that Rangers could just kick on and finally get a trophy.
Yeah. Stevie, I think the last Old Firm game was pretty interesting. Obviously, the New Year game, Celtic obviously took the lead, and you thought, when Celtic go in front, as they've done in the past against Rangers, Rangers could be in for a difficult day. But Rangers rallied back, they got the 2 goals, and then obviously Kyogo scored late on to salvage a draw. I thought that was a very telling game, and I think it shows you, although there's 9 points of a difference, both sides are capable of having a go at each other.
Yeah, definitely. I think what was interesting in that game is, I think Celtic started extremely well. First 25 minutes, it looked like normal things were just happening all the time for Celtic. Whereas, as soon as it's as if Rangers needed to get a punch to wake them up, and then as soon as they started having a go back at Celtic, they started to develop a wee bit more belief. And I think that's mentality is a massive thing in anything you're doing, but especially in sports. If they're getting in there thinking the first 20 minutes of Jesus, all we're doing is chasing the ball about, we're not getting a touch in this, you can just, your shoulders drop, you don't run that extra 5 yards, whereas all you need is one wee chance and you think, Jesus, we can get at them, and you could actually physically see the belief filling the Rangers players, and especially Sakala, he was extremely dangerous that day.
Yeah, I think that's interesting as well.
Taylor went off, didn't he? That just Joe Hart made that sort of gap, didn't he? And Taylor went off, and it seemed to sort of change the players' mentality. They knew they could have a go and perhaps get something out of the game.
Yeah.
I want to get into the kind of what we think of the teams are going to be, because I think, like Kenny, I think Rangers is obviously more interesting than Celtic, because I think Celtic have a lot more. Celtic do not have a lot of injuries in their team, but you look at Rangers, the first thing that comes to your head is, I think we know what the back five's going to be. You've got McGregor, Tavernier, Bolton, Davis and Barisic. The midfield, I think, is interesting because you've obviously got doubts with Lundstrom, Tillman, Jack as well. The midfield 3 on Saturday last week was Kamara, Raskin and Cantwell. who plays out of those three?
Well, if it's the way, I mean, I don't know if these players are all injured. Like Neil said in his press conference, it's a cup final. If somebody's 80% fit, then if Lundstrom comes in and says he's 80% fit, then Lundstrom could well be playing. But if we're going on these guys being out and injured, then I think you've got to, your Raskin and Kamara are certs. They've got to play, haven't they?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say the thing though with Raskin and Kamara, it's been early days with Raskin, but do you need maybe a Lundstrom and Jack in with him, or can Kamara and Raskin play a game like that together?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're the sort of holding. They're all holding midfielders, aren't they? Kamara's hardly an attacking midfield player, and Raskin we don't really know much about so far. But I mean, his range of passing looks tremendous, and that's something that could be key on Saturday. But I mean, there's going to be more space on Sunday. That's the thing, because Rangers, I think, play far better against teams that come at them. If you look at the Hearts result a couple of weeks ago, Hearts were having a go and it left space in behind.
Yeah.
So if that's going to be the case against Celtic, let's be honest, because Celtic only know how to play one way, and that one way is attack. So with a player like Raskin, I don't know if it's Ranskin or Raskin, I keep getting mixed up. But
Nicholas Thierry Raskin.
Nicholas Raskin. But with Raskin, I think he's going to be if he's on the ball anyway, he's going to be a key player because his range of passing looks tremendous.
Stevie, if I was to say to you, if fully fit, what Rangers midfield three would you not want to come up against? What's Rangers' best midfield three?
Right. So I don't want Lundstrom playing in any way, shape or form. I think he's the linchpin out of all of them. I think if everybody's fit, I think he would be the first name on the team sheet for Rangers. So I wouldn't want to see Lundstrom. Do you know what? Raskin as well. He looks to me quite like a diminutive, can link the midfield in the front. Very tidy player, can play these slide role passes, like sees a pass before a lot of our players will see a pass. So I don't mind if Jack plays. I don't rate him as much, to be fair. So I don't mind if Jack plays, but I wouldn't like to see. I don't think I'd like to see Lundstrom, one other, in Raskin. I don't know if I'm not too.
I'm just Lundstrom will play. I think Lundstrom will play. I think he'll be declared fit.
I think you're right. I think
that's not a warrior player, isn't he, as well, that's going to come out and say, "Like, I'm ready to go."
And we saw last season in the Europa League and in games against Celtic as well, particularly that cup semi-final. He thrived in those big games, and he's not been in his best form this season. I think there's been a couple of times this season he has been really good. I thought before he got injured in the last Old Firm game, I thought he was terrific. I thought he was one of the best players in the park, actually. What about Cantwell, Kenny? I've been impressed with him, actually. I think you can tell that he's a flair player, but is this the sort of game you want him in?
I'm not 100%. I don't know. Again, this is a big test. I mean, he'll figure it at some point, put it that way. But then I think, is he a midfielder? Is he going to play in the front three? I don't know what's his desired position. But I think if Lundstrom plays, you could see Lundstrom, Raskin, and then Cantwell, because you've got that sort of, the grit there to kind of hold on to things, and then you get kind of Ranskin to do that and make, like you're sure saying, their wee passes and stuff. But then Cantwell, I don't know. I'm not too sure. Because I think you've got to play Sakala after he played the way he played against Celtic the last time.
I think the one we'll touch in the Celtic. I think Celtic's midfield and forward line's interesting as well. But I think Rangers front three's nailed on. I think it's Sakala, Morelos, and Kent. I don't get this roof. I don't get this roof thing. I do not get it at all. I know I've always said his IQ is the best. Like, he's very similar in terms of like that idea of having the kind of intelligence. So he's such an intelligent player, but you cannot start him in this game. You bring him on if he's fit. He's not.
Somebody says to me the other day, and it's a good point. Roof wouldn't be playing for Rangers if he was fit.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
He's that sort of player. But I mean, you definitely want Roof on the bench to come on, because if you line the goal, Roof's the man to go to, isn't he? But I think you're right with the front three. The front three is nailed on, and that's why I'm not too sure about Cantwell. Because I don't know if you can carry a sort of flair player like that in the middle three, if that makes sense in this sort of game. I think he's the sort of player they might bring on later on to, if you need something a bit extra.
The fly in the ointment here is Malik Tillman. If Malik Tillman's fit, he plays.
Well, that's what I mean. It's going to be then you'd have to play, but then that's, I suppose, another flair player, isn't it? But because Tillman to me is quite lazy at times as well.
I know, but he's never like. I don't. I don't remember him kind of doing much against Celtic in the first two
I
games.
mean.
Certainly the first
Aye,
game, I thought he played out right. I think I'll be very interested if he starts. If he starts, I'm going to be watching him like a hawk to see how he gets on, because this will be a big occasion for him if he plays.
Well, if Lundstrom and Tillman are 80% fit, you're trusting Lundstrom over Tillman. I mean, as much as I love Tillman, he's a skillful player. He's done well in certain games, but I don't know if I'd trust him at 80% fit, if that makes sense. Whereas I'd trust Lundstrom to go out there and give his all. Whereas Tillman, you can see getting a wee knock and that behind off.
Stevie, the back five for Celtic, I think, is rock solid as well. Hart, Johnson, Carter, Vickers, Starfeld, and Taylor. Absolutely. Yeah. Midfield three, he played McGregor, Hatate, and O'Reilly the last day. Aaron Moy's a big thing as well. Is Aaron Moy going to be fit? And if Aaron Moy is fit, who does he replace? Because I think he's nailed on to start if he's fit.
I 100% agree with you. I think if Moy's fit, he replaces O'Reilly.
Yeah.
O'Reilly, he was a bit poor in the last Old Firm game, and for the last maybe 6 to 8 weeks, he's been in and out of the team. Don't get me wrong, when he first came in, he was very, very consistent. But he seems to have had a wee dip in form at the wrong time of the season. So I think, and Aaron Moy was, I mean, even at the World Cup, he was fantastic.
He's been outstanding.
I mean, that game against Hibs at Easter Road, he was phenomenal. Him and Maeda even as well. So I think if everyone's fit, I would like to see McGregor, Hatate, and Moy. That's the three.
How impressed have you been with Hatate? Because I think he's kicked on massively. Like I remember the first time he played was against Hibs, and I remember you were on the show, Stevie, and we were absolutely raving about him. And then for that period, that first month, he was outstanding. Then he seemed to go off the boil a bit, and this season you've just saw him just get better and better as the seasons went on.
Yeah, it seems to me like he's kind of had the huff, getting in the World Cup squad with Maeda, and it's as if he's going, right, well, if I need to kick on to get in that squad again, that's what I'm going to do. And he's been phenomenal. Even his goal scorer, I would never have him down as a goal scorer, really, wouldn't he? Because he seems the type of midfielder to me that has a brilliant range of passing. His work rate's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he seems to me like an honest player, an honest, hard-working player. So I would, very rarely do you get that mixed in with goals as well. So he's been flying in terms of scoring goals and getting forward. So he's one of Celtic's best players right now. He's playing phenomenal. Him and Aaron Moy are playing phenomenal.
Yeah. Front three is very interesting because there's a lot Postecoglou can do here. I think the kind of two guaranteed starters are Jota and Kyogo. I think they both will start. But you could have this thing where you could have Abada's obviously got a terrific record against Rangers. I thought Maeda's obviously it links very well with a front three. He's really, really good. He's the workhorse of a front three. You could also put Aksabanovic in there. There's so much he can do with that front three, but what will he do, Stevie?
I honestly don't know about Jota. Jota's another one. The last kind of 4 weeks or so, 4 to 6 weeks, he's been in and out. He's not started every game. It seems as if Postecoglou's been getting a wee bit frustrated with him in games because he seems to be, when he first came in, he was beating a man, getting a cross, and he was beating a man, getting a shot away. Whereas now he's doing the thing that I used to do. I used to drive my always beat somebody, beat him again, then try and put the cross in, and your front line are kind of forward and stop and getting caught offside. So I don't know. I think it's 50-50 with Jota. I mean, I would play him because that's the type of player I love to watch, and it's the type of player that deserves to play in finals. But whether he starts, I know he loves to start Maeda in massive games. So it could possibly. I think it'll either be Maeda, Kyogo, Abada, or it'll be Maeda, Kyogo, Jota. I don't think he'll play Jota and Abada.
No.
Start the two. He does a to start. I think it'll be your last one there, Jota and Kyogo. That'll be your front three for Celtic, surely. Because I mean, Jota as well. He's got something in him, hasn't he? There's always something he can pull off, and unfortunately, but he's got that wee spark, and he puts the fear into defenders as well when he does run at you. I'd say a little bit more than a bad.
Yeah. Do you hang with that? See with that midfield, Stevie? Like if you go with McGregor, Hatate, and Moy, the first thing you're thinking. Is there a missing link? Are they kind of sacrificing a bit of attack in that midfield three? But the other way to look at it is if Moy and Hatate start, that's freedom for McGregor. McGregor can push forward.
Yeah, I think they rotate it very well. See,
Yeah.
I've watched Celtic a couple of times this season, and what I've noticed is it's weird the way. Well, I say it's weird. It's obviously winning. It's working for them. Whenever Celtic are playing the ball about at the back, two central midfielders go and stand in the wide areas.
Mm-hmm.
They stand beside the winger, either Jota or Maida. They'll go and stand beside them, and they'll triangle passes there, and they leave the middle of the park for one player, and they rotate it, because sometimes it can be Hatate on the left, Moy on the right. Then the next attack, it's McGregor on the right, Moy on the left, Hatate in the middle. So yeah. I know what you're saying, like they two sit and it can give McGregor freedom, but I think all three of them just rotate it. They rotate it really, really well, where it's as if one of them goes, I'm going to join the attack here, you two stay, or me and you'll go and join the attack, you stay. And there seems to be a good communication and a good link-up play between the three.
Kenny, what worries you from a Celtic, for looking at Celtic as their midfield three and their forward three? Like, what's the kind of worries for a Rangers perspective?
I'd say Hatate in the form he's been in so far. The last few games he's been absolutely brilliant, and his footwork as well, and his finishing. I mean, now the two finishes against Aberdeen were top notch, weren't they? Absolutely top notch. But you're hoping. I mean, Rangers just need to get in about Celtic and not give them the room to do that. Like you're saying that the players pull out wide. They just need to be right in their faces. I mean, we did that against Hearts, and it kind of worked in our favour. The last Old Firm game, once we got up and running, it took us a wee bit of time, but once we got up and running, Celtic are there if you can get at them. Do you know what I mean? I think Hatate, and obviously as well, Kyogo's always one to worry about, let's be honest. He can score from anywhere. It's a tap in or outside the box.
And I think there's a big thing as well. Obviously, the last Old Firm game at Hampden, Rangers won it. Celtic went ahead. It's very Celtic will be smelling blood. They'll be wanting to get revenge over that, because that was the kind of one blemish last season after the semi-final exit that obviously denied them a treble. They'll be wanting to get at the first trophy on the board. They'll be wanting to especially beat Rangers. What do we think about the kind of preview of it, the way it's kind of turned out in the media? Like, we've seen the kind of hang with Sutton and Beale, and there's been a lot of talk of Sakala yesterday. Stevie, what do we think of that? Do you think it's good, or do we think I think that there's a lot of purpose to it, and I like it, but is it taken away from the game? Is it turning into a bit of a farce?
I would like to think both managers are professional enough to not let it affect them in terms of talking to their team and setting a team up right for a match. But it just seems a wee bit unnecessary to me, to be honest with you. I mean, why would you need to react to somebody who's already had their career and makes their career for making wee slide digs like that at players or managers or whatever? It's just essentially when you boil it down, it's just petty comments, innit? I mean, so why would you even necessarily bite back at that? I get it, like he feels frustrated and he feels targeted by something, but the best thing to do would be, from his point of view, not from my point of view, I wouldn't like this, but from his point of view, never responded, went on and won the final, and then just kind of stuck it to him that way, do you know what I mean? Rather than getting embroiled in petty comments about his Chelsea career and then Sutton having a go back. And I don't get me wrong, I suppose it maybe brings drama and it brings eyes to the game, doesn't it? That maybe weren't potentially on the game before. People maybe want to see a bit of conflict between the two, and it maybe brings a wee bit extra drama. But it's no for me that. I think it's a nonsense, if I'm honest.
Kenny, where are you at with it?
Well, I don't know, if you're looking at the Beale Sutton thing, it's just a nonsense. But I think Sakala yesterday, and Sakala's a God-fearing man, let's be honest. He's all religious, he's always posting stuff about religion. I don't think he's meant that other mob in a bad way. Do you think he has?
No, I don't see the issue with it.
Players talk about them and they and all that sort of stuff. Us, them. But it's just the way people. And for Sakala to say the other mob, I mean, I just don't think he's even thought what he's saying. But I mean, you watch Sakala.
You'd love to know where he's heard that, wouldn't you? You'd love to know how he's.
I mean, somebody said that to him. He just went, "Oh, that other mob," off the cuff. No meaning any insult. And then people have latched on and going, "Oh, that other mob. What's he talking about us? What's he saying about us?" And then you look at Sakala in the park. He doesn't know what he's doing half the time on the park. So then you've got to wonder what he's like off the park.
It's going to be interesting, obviously, but we are at the stage, and we've kind of went through everything. Let's put you on the spot, Stevie. How's this game going to go? Give us a prediction.
I think both teams are scoring. Let me go. Obviously, I'm going to go Celtic. I'm not going to say Rangers, am I? So I'm going to go Celtic 3-1. It'll be one each for a long period in the game. Celtic will score a second in the last 10 minutes. Rangers will go all out attack. McGregor in the box for a corner. Third goal on the counter attack, injury time. There you are. That's my Paddy Power bet.
It's a Paddy Power bet. Kenny, what we thinking? I'd imagine you're the other side of that.
Well, I don't know why, but I've got a suspicion because we've all been building up. We've been looking at the form. Everybody's been scoring goals. And I just think that might be even tighter and it could be a 1-0 Rangers. I just feel that, it's like in these big games, you build it up. Everybody's going, there'll be lots of goals. And I just think sometimes the games are played in the midfield. Teams cancel each other out up front. And I'm going for a 1-0 Rangers. And it'll be a big defender scoring for a corner.
So 1 vote each. So that means the casting vote's going to me. And I'm going to sit in the fence because I'm not going I can't call this, by the way. I do not.
We knew that was that one.
No, and you well done, Kenny, because I think that's hats off because I can't call this, and I'm not just been saying I could not call this game. I think it's too difficult. I think though the last Old Firm game was very interesting because I thought Rangers played very, very well in the second half, but Celtic showed tremendous grit to get something out of the game because Celtic looked down and out at one point. And again, it's just how that game goes. If Celtic, I keep saying, if Celtic score early, I don't think any team can live with them. But Rangers did in that game. So I think whoever scores first wins. That's my prediction. Whoever scores first wins. And I think there will be a penalty.
I was just going to say, surely we'll get a penalty. Come on, brother, beaten.
Now, if there's a penalty, will we see, Stevie, my prediction, if we see a penalty, how long before a couple of members of the commentary team explode?
2.7 seconds, mate. It will not be long.
Do you think
if you read the Sun newspaper, all the penalties go to Celtic in the Old Firms?
What do you think of that, Stevie? Like, I know we've spoke about it a lot on here in the past and things like that, but it seems to be like there's a lot of talk about it, like as if it's it just baffles me how like we're at that stage in this time in 2023, a Rangers Celtic game. It's just going to, if one side wins, it's going to be the referee's fault. If the other side wins, it's not, the referee won't be mentioned, and that to me is just it's silly.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, when you boil it down, right, the reason both Old Firm teams probably get most penalties is because they spend their time in the opposition box.
100%.
I mean, if I'm pretty sure if you've done the analysis and teams down in England where the bigger teams are playing the smaller teams, they will get more penalties than the smaller teams. It's just a fact. But I think what doesn't help is how sometimes incompetent the referees are and the VAR officials and everything else, because they'll give something, they'll take it away, then after they've took it away, they'll say, do you know what, I should have gave that. Go with your on. See, unless the on-field decision is dramatically wrong, that's only really when you should change it. Yeah. In my, I don't get like the small minor ones, because when you slow something down, it looks 10 times worse than what it did in real speed. It really does, and it looks more deliberate and it looks more premeditated. So I'm hating it. I hate VAR already. I despise it. Absolutely despise it.
Do we hate VAR? But that's the thing. Do people hate VAR because it's not being used right, or do people hate VAR because it's this big bad machine that's been brought in to stop a conspiracy? That, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think VAR is being used well. I think it's the people operating it. I don't think it's the equipment. I think it's the people operating it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But where are you going to get anybody else to operate it?
That's the thing.
Know? And
you've got to ask as well. Sorry, on you go.
On you go. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, you've got to ask as well the level of investment that we put into VAR. I mean, I don't know, obviously, but I bet 100% down south you get much more angles and much more ways to look at it. And I think referees need a hand as well when it comes to clarity on the handball rule. Because a lot of penalties are given because of this handball rule. And like, when is it a handball? When isn't it a handball? When you look at the penalty rate given against Rangers, against Partick Thistle, with Big Cholak, I mean, that's never a handball, but it does touch his hand. So is that a penalty? And I think the referees need a hand in that sense, because nobody knows the actual clarity of the handball rule.
Aye. Yeah. But then that falls into the category of every handball's a subjective view. It's the referee's subjective view, because there's no definitive, it's hit his hand, it's a penalty. Do you know what I mean? So one ref would ref wouldn't. So regardless of how many computers you've got and how many video assistants you've got, one ref's going to give it and the other ref's not going to give it. That's the way handball is. Unless you just said any handball in the box, whatever, is a penalty. Unless you just made that blanket statement, then you're never ever going to get it the way people want it to be, you know?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
We are going to start the predictor from now until the end of the season, where we're going to look at. We've obviously got this game here. I will do this. I will put a score up because I need to spend a lot of time. I need to watch tactics to this. I need to see how this game's going to go before I make a decision. But I will make a decision on the next 4 games because I don't need to sit in the fence as much. We do have 4 Premiership games to go through. We're just going to ask you all for a score, and then I'll write them down, and then tomorrow on the channel we will post them up and people can have a wee competition in terms of the predictor. Stevie, Aberdeen versus Livingston.
I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Kenny?
1-1.
Well, I was going to go 1-1 as well, to be honest with you, because I just think the way they two have been playing, it's going to be a draw anyway. So I was going to go 1-1.
1-1. I'm going to go for 1-0 Livingston. Let's go with Kilmarnock, your old club, Stevie, against Motherwell. Motherwell got a new manager, Stuart Kettlewell. Kelly badly need a result. Will they get it at Rugby Park?
I don't know. They're struggling. Like, I watched them against Dundee United as well. Don't get me wrong, they won the game in the Scottish Cup, but that's not really the competition they need to be picking wins up in. I'm going to go for Motherwell 2-1.
2-1 Motherwell. Big call from Stevie. Kenny, Kelly, Kilmarnock versus Motherwell.
I don't know, Kelly are doing all right at home, and they're terrible away from home, and they need to start picking up points. So I was going to go for 1 each for that one as well. So 1-1, because obviously Motherwell are on the new manager bounce, and 1 each.
I'm going to go 1-0 Kilmarnock. Let's go to the next game. Ross County at home to Dundee United. Stevie.
Ross County 2-0.
2-0. 2-0. Good run. Ross County versus Dundee United. Dundee United has a lot of problems in the background, but can Ross County get the victory? Kenny.
I believe Ross County will win, but I'm going for 3-0.
3-0, massive call.
Sometimes Ross County just come out with a crazy score up there in Dingwall, so I think this is going to be the weekend.
I think Ross County will win this 3-1. I think they've got their scoring boots on. And the final game, I think St Johnstone versus St Mirren has got 0-0 written all over it. I always like a 0-0 in the Premiership. I'm going to go 0-0. Stevie, the Saints derby, who's going to win it?
I'm going for St Mirren. 1-0 away from home, St Mirren. A disgusting, horrible own goal.
Kenny, St Johnstone, St Mirren.
I'm going to agree with Stevie. I've got it wrote in here. I was going for 1-0. 1-0 St Mirren.
1-0 St Mirren. We'll put these on the channel on Friday. Stevie, before we wrap up the show, do you want to tell us what you're doing on Friday night?
Friday night, right. So tomorrow, Friday night, I'm going down to Dumbarton. Don't know if Kenny knows. I played with Kelly for 7-8 years, but also had a good couple of years down at Dumbarton, and we won the old Scottish Scottish. Yeah, it was the 3rd division at the time. So we won the league. Last game down at Annan, got the bus up the road, stopped at the Dumbarton sign and jumped on the Iron Brew topless bus and got all the way into Dumbarton and get piped in with a piper, and there was thousands of people there. So Dumbarton are putting us into the Hall of Fame. So me and a lot of the squad for that season are going down tomorrow night and get a wee do on down at the Rock at Dumbarton. So get me and another guy's been on the pod before, Ryan McStay. He's coming with me as well. He just used to give me the ball and I used to rip defences apart. So his part there was to pass me the ball. Mine was to do everything else. Don't let him tell you anything else. So inducted into the Hall of Fame for Dumbarton, which will be great. It just reminds you that you're getting to an age now where people are thinking you as an afterthought and you were years ago, and it's no good. I still think I can go out and mix it with them. You know what I mean? Because I'm still playing 35s, and when I score a goal in that, I'm running away shouting, I should still be senior.
That's brilliant. Well done, Stevie. That'll be a good night.
It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Oswald, before you go, I'll put a pipe behind the bar for you.
I think my brothers and my dad would battle my face in if I done that. But thanks for the offer.
Brilliant, Stevie. That's brilliant to hear. Best of luck with it, and congratulations to all the team that are getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on, guys. Kenny, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having us. Enjoy the game, everyone, on Sunday.
Will do. Enjoy the game. Stevie, best of luck with Friday night and enjoy the game on Sunday. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Scott. Cheers for that, mate.
Right, thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in. We'll be doing a review show on Sunday night to drop on Monday morning. We'll cover the Old Firm Cup final. And as always, like and share and subscribe to our podcast channel and YouTube channel. Thanks very much, everyone. See you soon. Cheers.